national headlines after expressing concerns about a trans male in the locker room. Tell us about that.
Well, as I said, I'm a regular swimmer, and I finished my swim and went to take a shower, and I heard a man's voice. And I looked to one side where there are two toilet stalls with doors on them. A man was standing there in a woman's bathing suit, and he was watching little girls take their suits down in order to use the toilet. And I said to him, "Do you have a penis?" And he said, "That's none of your business." And I said, "You need to get out of here right now." A Y staffer came from maybe the staff room around in her red t-shirt, and I said, "Get that man out of here." And she said, without skipping a beat, "That's discrimination. You're out of the pool forever, and I've called the cops."
Yes, I'm a reporter.
Hi, great. We have a
How are you guys doing?
manager that I can direct you to.
Is she here?
I will direct you to this, and then you can reach out to her with any questions that you have.
Thanks. How are you guys doing?
We're doing good, but I'm afraid we're not taking interviews in person at this time.
You're not?
Yes.
How do you feel about the issue?
I'm going to have to ask you to leave.
Yeah.
Thank you, and have a great day.
You too.
Well, that is an excerpt from a powerful video by one of our newest rebels based in Seattle, Washington, Katie Daviscorp. An incredible story. Imagine that. A transgender staffer in the changing room watching little girls take off their bathing suits to go to the bathroom, and the chutzpah of saying that grandma was the one violating privacy. Outrageous. Joining me now via Skype from the side of the highway is our friend Katie Daviscorp, who pulled over to do this interview. Katie, I am so mad. I am so grateful to that grandma for standing up for those kids. There was no parent there. It sounds like they were very young girls too, like children of tender years. I'm not talking, I mean, it wouldn't be good for any age. Teenagers would be even more shy, I think. But imagine having a grown man in there watching young girls undress. That is super gross.
Right. It's truly a remarkable story. And what I find even more frustrating and what needs to be brought to issue is instead of them listening to Julie's concerns, they immediately banned her from the YMCA swimming pool for hate and discrimination instead of listening to her concerns about a biological male, watching girls. They were under the age of 10, undressed to use the restroom. And it just, where are we at this day and age? It raises a lot of concerns about the future.
They have no basis for saying she's full of hate. And discrimination means choosing. There is a difference between boys and girls, men and women. And that's why we have men and women's bathrooms. And the idea that men can be in women's bathrooms and watch young children disrobe is so alien to the privacy of the girls, to the privacy of those young girls. They were the ones discriminated against. They lost their privacy and, frankly, their security of the person, as they say. You know, your petition is called Let Her Swim. Is that what it's called? Let Her Swim?
Yes.
And I think that's right. Julie Germain should be let into swim. But that's just the smallest part of this. The biggest part is this insane violation of the privacy of girls and women. I mean, yeah, I want Julie Germain in there to swim again. Let her swim. Don't kick her out. But even if she was allowed back in, oh my God, it sounds like they are standing by this transgender person having full access when there are children of tender years in there.
Right, you're absolutely correct. And so after the incident, they ended up holding a women's rights group, ended up showing support for Julie, holding a rally in the city of Port Townsend. And they ended up being mobbed by radical left-wing activists, which emerged a new scandal was revealed. The Port Townsend mayor, his name is David Faber, he took to Twitter and expressed support for the grown men that attacked elderly women at this rally because he was advocating alongside the trans transgender individuals and deem this group a hateful group when they just want rights to their own bodies in a very intimate place of changing in the women's restroom. They don't want men seeing them, and it opens up a greater issue into what we see with trans people being let into prisons. There has been many reports that in the prisons, biological men are just saying that they're women to get into the prisons with the women, and then they are raping the women. And it brings a greater issue into when you allow transgender people into a locker room that doesn't have signage on the door. That was Julie's main concern. There was no signage on the door that said gender neutral changing room. Mm-hmm. And anyone this day could say, oh, I identify as a trans male, and bring in perverts to the locker room. I'm not saying this trans woman is a pervert from the YMCA. We don't know that fact. But if what Julie says, they were watching young girls change, it's an issue.
Yeah. You know, just last weekend, the Democracy Fund had a panel called Protecting Women's Spaces in the Age of Transgenderism. One of the panelists, Heather Mason, was a female prisoner in Canada, and she made an incredible comment. She said that if you're a convicted rapist or a convicted child molester, you're at risk in the male prison. The other prisoners might kill you. Other prisoners sometimes kill or beat up child molesters. There's even a kind of honor amongst the criminals. So if you're a child molester in prison in Canada or anywhere, and you simply identify as a woman, you can be transferred to a women's prison in Canada. You don't have to go through surgery. You don't have to take any hormones. You just have to literally say, man, I feel like a woman. And they'll put you in a women's prison for two reasons. First of all, a woman's prison is nicer compared to a men's prison. Second of all, you're not going to be killed by the other prisoners. And third of all, and Heather Mason says that 50% of the trans prisoners in women's prison are these rapists and child molesters, because they would be hurt in the men's prison. And so now they have access. They're basically put in a cage with vulnerable women. And she says there are rapes, there are pregnancies, there's violence. And if these female prisoners speak out, it goes on their record and it's held against them at parole time because it shows they were ungovernable. So what you just outlined is happening. I know it's happening in Canada. I'm sure it's happening in the U.S. too. What you just saw was an excerpt from my nightly show, The Ezra Levant Show. Every weekday, I do a monologue. Usually it's about half an hour. Then I interview an interesting guest, and then we read my hate mail or my fan mail, whichever is more fun. It's only available behind a paywall, though. That's how we pay our bills here at Rebel News. We don't take a dime from Justin Trudeau. But the good news is it's only $8 a month, about half the price of Netflix. And in addition to my nightly show, you also get weekly shows from 4 other friends here at Rebel News. So you're getting 36 shows a month just for $8. I think it's worth it. And even if you're not quite sure, do it anyways, because we rely on viewers like you to keep us free and independent. I promise you I'll never take a dime from Trudeau. Just go to rebelnewsplus.com and click subscribe. Thanks.